gonna keep it real if he don't do nothing else, right? Okay, they kept his foot on Justin's neck the whole episode. We're gonna get into that later. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Brenda Yvonne channel. Of course, I'm your girl, Brenda Yvonne. Here at my channel, we do fun reviews, recaps, and discussions of all of our favorite shows. This video, we are talking Maths, aka Married at First Sight. This is season 15, I believe it's episode 19, 15, I said that. Reunion part 2, the San Diego season, y'all. All right, before we get into anything, y'all, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. Don't forget to keep subscribing and supporting the channel. I do appreciate all of y'all's support. Don't forget to share and comment down below. Also, don't forget, here at my channel, we are helping each other out this holiday season by sharing our holiday gift giving ideas, trips, savings, and tricks, creative ideas. If you've discovered any new good discounts, drop it in the comments below and I will be sure to share it on the very next video. And also, if I think of anything that I would share, I will let you guys know as well. Y'all, I am very, very tired. Happy to have the day off though tomorrow. Happy Veterans Day to all of our veterans out there. We thank you for your hard work serving our country. Okay, I wanted to do this review last night, but I was too tired. And I got tired tonight, but I didn't want to prolong it. So we're going to try to make it quick. The reunion wasn't really, part 2 wasn't really giving everything. I mean, it had a little heart here and there, but it wasn't really giving much anyway. So let's just get to it. The episode opens up where it left off last week with Alexis and Justin tussling. When they was talking about, if Alexis came over for a late night drive-by, and he was like, yeah, you came to my apartment, and I think one of them said they had text messages. She was like, oh, you trying to make it like I got drunk and I wanted some peen and I came over. That's exactly what happened, Alexis. Yes, you got drunk at the club and you said, let me hit up Justin. Okay, I am not even fooled, girl. It's okay if you did that because he was familiar. Sometimes you got to go back to what you know, right? So anyway, they was arguing, fussing back and forth about that. And he was like, nah, because you know, you've been lying, you were a liar, and you gaslit me the whole time, and you did this and that. And so she was like, okay, Justin, like, that's what you want to believe, like, it's fine. And so then Kevin trying to help them out, like, dang, what's going on with y'all too? Like, what's really good? So he was like, don't you feel like, you know, Alexis was putting effort, she wanted you to step up more physically, she tried to do this, she tried to do that, like, and he was like, yeah, like, I could see that. And I think Kevin did kind of get on Alexis, but Pastor Cal, he really got more into Alexis later on. And so y'all, they was just fussing and disagreeing and doing what Justin and Alexis do all the time. And they still seem friendly with each other though, and Kevin kind of pointed that out. I feel like Kevin did a better job hosting this episode than the first episode. Like, he really kind of called people out more, so that was kind of cool. So then Kevin kind of let that go, and I think he brought out all the ladies, and so the ladies were talking about different things they went through on the show. And one thing they talked about Mitch, the way Mitch was, and, you know, if the ladies also had an issue with Mitch. The ladies didn't like Mitch. Stasia called him a bitch, and she called him a bitch to his face. The scenes they showed of that was hilarious to me. And so they said, you know, they didn't really like how Mitch was. They hated Mitch, but because Kristen was Team Mitch, they had to be Team Mitch. So if it wasn't for her saying, you know, I'm Team Mitch, they had to support her decision and still being cool with Mitch because they didn't like her. And that was good. They wanted to respect, you know, how she felt and everything like that. They also talked about the whole Lindy and Miguel having sex, and how Stasia was trying to protect her. And Kevin was saying, like, okay, do you see how she was just trying to look out for you and not kind of tell you what to do or anything, of course. And so she was like, yeah, I do, but, you know, I'm a big girl. And so, and they also talked about it later on when everybody was out as well, I believe. And so, let's see, they also talked about things Morgan went through with Ben, and Alexis said she justified to us why she told Morgan. So, you know, Ben called Justin. Justin had the phone on speakerphone, and Alexis overheard. They also were having pillow talk. And I guess Morgan had came over one of the nights crying to all the girls. And Alexis said she could see all the pain in her face. So she just told her straight up what happened. She said she was really torn. She wished she would have handled it differently, though. And you should have. You should have. Okay, now, granted, I kind of can understand why she might have said something. However, that was between that man and that woman. And really, Justin and Alexis didn't need to be in it. Granted, Ben did put Justin into it, though. But I think Alexis still should have let Ben and Morgan solve that between them. And so Morgan was thankful thankful to Alexis for telling her. She said, just think, what if she didn't tell me? Like, yeah, there's no bad blood between us. Like, I'm really thankful she told me. And I'm like, girl, I guess. That was pretty much it with talking with the ladies. And then he brought the men out. And so, he, talked to each man. He told Ben, Kevin told Ben that he thinks that him and Morgan would have went further if they would have just consummated the marriage early on. I finally got the word right, y'all. And so he was showing the clip of them, saying how hot, they and bothered they were. And so he was like, you see what I'm saying? And so Kevin also discussed, some of Mitch's issues and how he was saying more, Kristen wasn't looking good and all that. And he was like, man, like, you chose the wrong thing to say. Like, come on. And so I think they also talked to Miguel about the baby or something. And then they talked to Nate. And so they were asking the guys if they felt that Nate was standoffish. Because Kevin was saying, like, you kind of came in there, like, you knew everything to say. You kind of seemed like the player, like you were going to be like a player type. But, you really weren't like that. And he was asking the guys if they had any misconceptions about him. And so Miguel, I guess Nate looked at Miguel. Miguel's like, oh, I'll go since you're looking at me. And he's like, yeah, I thought you were coming in just saying all the right things. And, like, are you just here, like kind of playing? Or are you really taking it seriously? He was sure. And so then he's like, but after, that quickly went away after one day. Like, I got to know you. I see how you were. And I didn't feel that way. And Nate did apologize to the guys. He's like, if I wasn't a certain way, it's just because I was really focused on the process and really focused on Stasia. And he was like, there's no slight to you guys. And I respected Nate for saying that. And I feel like that's exactly what Nate did. Nate wasn't worried about everybody else and necessarily making friends. Like, that's cute, whatever, to make friends. But he was definitely more focused on building with something with Stasia. I think Nate actually changed all of our minds personally. Let me know what you guys think as a viewer, but I think Nate definitely changed our initial impression of him, right? We all kind of thought he really wasn't going to be about anything, and he actually turned out to be one of the, I'm not going to say he was the best person on the show, but he was one of the ones that actually made sense on the show, right? Also, when they started that segment, Kevin had asked them who all still hangs out, and so Justin took it upon himself to be like, oh, well, the four of us, we hang out. I was like, I guess Justin. So anyway, then they showed at the end of that segment, Justin, all his crying. And so then the guys, Mitch was like, yeah, I commend him. I think if I could cry and show you more emotion like that, I would be better off. And all the guys were like, giving Justin his props for showing his emotional side. Nate was like, no, I think you just a crybaby. You just cry too much. I don't see it for you. I was dead. I was like, Nate gonna keep it real if he don't do nothing else, right? Okay, Nate kept his foot on Justin's neck the whole episode. We're gonna get into that later. Justin was like, man, you need to be quiet. He was like, you need to take some notes. Like, maybe you show more emotions. Like, your woman would appreciate that more. Like, that's what she been trying to tell you. You need to show more emotions. Nate's like, whatever, dude. Like, nah, I think it's weird. You cry too much. Like, nah, you need to stop. So anyway, Kevin was like, okay. So then we had the experts come out. Dr. Pepper, is that her name? And Pastor Cal. Where was Devon Franklin? And that other lady, Peter Pena, where was they at? Because Devon only got to do an episode or two and they shoot him on out. I said, well, where was Devon? Anyway, maybe they'll show him more next season, right? So Pastor Cal, Dr. Pepper came out, and we also had Ben and Mitch on the stage. So the experts were really only talking to the people who didn't really make it, okay? And so, let me back up. A significant part I missed with Alexis and Justin, y'all. I'm sorry. Y'all know I bounce around and I'm tired. Okay, so let me back up, because there was more to Alexis and Justin. A huge part I almost missed. Let me back it up. So, after Alexis and Justin got through fussing and fighting, Kevin brought out their brother and sister. He said to bring in more insight. So he brought out Alexis' sister. I believe her name was Amber. She was really pretty. And Justin's brother. I can't remember his name to save my life. But y'all remember the older brother that told him he don't think he's ready for it all. And so, they asked him why didn't he think he was ready. He's like, because he's, he probably thought marriage was going to be one way and it was not. He has some things he still needs to deal with. That's what I thought that. And so Amber said her sister Alexis is a real firecracker, and she didn't know if that was going to work. She said she was surprised about how much of a, I forgot the term she used, not a dark side, but Justin could kind of pipe up sometimes, and she didn't realize how much he really could. And so, she also talked to her sister about the whole dog situation, and she said, that's his baby too. And so Alexis did clear it up and say that it wasn't the fact that her dog got bitten. It was the fact that she was missing the previous information of knowing that Maya had been in 3, previous incidents, and the way Justin kept hiding stuff. And I can get all that, but she was really, really using that dog situation as a way out. Okay, let's call it what it was. She was using that dog situation as a way out. Kevin did point out about Justin and Alexis that they seem to think, and they might have pointed this out later, not in that moment, but they seem to think that they were going to have issues and arguments and things like that, right? And so Kevin asked the brother, did you think that was a good, noble thing for Justin to give up his dog? He said, no, I didn't think that was a good idea. I'm glad he said that. He was like, no, because I knew, Maya is very important to him. That's his family. He's had her a long time. And so he said, I knew he would end up resenting that decision and resenting her. And so they asked Justin, did he resent giving away Maya? And he did. Of course he did. He did. And so Kevin also talked about how, Alexis didn't want that held over her head, and it kind of seemed like Justin did, which he did. Justin, that was a bad move, but y'all, we did hear that he went to Colorado and drove back, had a little good old road trip with Maya. So Maya is home, safe and sound for the dog lovers, y'all. We can breathe again, right? So anyway, I wanted to know, I was asking on the Twitter, do they usually bring out people's family members? Now, somebody told me, I can't think of their name, but they told me that last season they brought out somebody's brother. Had they done that on previous seasons, though? Let me know in the comments. Do they usually bring out people's siblings? Because I thought that was random to bring out Alexis and Justin's siblings. Now, maybe they brought out other siblings and they just edited them out. But I don't know. I just thought that was random. Just very random. Maybe because they had the most interesting, explosive relationship. I don't know. Anyway, all right, fast forward to back where we was now, when the experts were talking to Mitch and Ben, right? And so, Pastor Cal said, Ben, you really seem like a person who can take ownership for what they do and apologize and all that stuff. He's like, but, you were kind of taking ownership for too many things. You weren't totally wrong, and you needed to, not lose your self-confidence and all those apologies. And so, he was saying, it's okay, not to be perfect and all that stuff. And Dr. Pepper was asking him, have you learned now that you don't have to be perfect? Your spouse doesn't have to be perfect. And he was telling, they were telling him basically you could do some things that are not perfect and all that stuff. And so, Ben continued to say he's just working on himself. He's not dating anybody that's going to be in the near future. I was like, poor Ben. Poor Ben. Feel like he done just messed up his whole life now. Lord, that dang Morgan, right? So anyway, sorry, y'all. So then they talked to Mitch, and so Pastor Gal did get on Mitch about him saying that, Kristen wasn't that attractive and some of the things he said. And he said, I felt like, a dad, who's this guy, doing this to my daughter? Come on now. And he told Kristen that this next segment as well. And he said, don't you think you could have handled that a little better, much differently. And Mitch admitted that he could. And Mitch said that he always felt like he was an outcast in different situations growing up, and he felt a lot of pressure in this situation. He felt like he was the outcast. He, always feels the need to be different. And so Pastor Cal said, you weren't the outcast in this situation, not even close. And he's like, be okay with being normal. Like, it's okay to do normal things. Like, just letting Mitch is always like one of those people that always gotta go against the grain and be different and purposely, challenge things, and it's just unnecessary. And I think that's basically what Pastor Kyle was saying. But he, commended both of them on being good people and all that good stuff. So then they brought out Kristen and Morgan, and again, Pastor Kyle says, like, we can't believe how Mitch, was treating you. I felt like a daughter. And he's like, I feel really bad because we paired you with him. And Dr. Pepper was like, they basically kind of, without apologized for the pairing of Kristen and Mitch. And Dr. Pepper basically said they didn't know that he was going to be oppositionally defiant. Like, he was going to go against the grain of every little thing. They didn't see that in Mitch. Are you guys surprised they didn't see that early on as being the experts and really learning about Mitch? To me, they should have put him with someone who is an environmentalist. And like Pastor Cal said, and Dr. Pepper said, like, he had a vision and a picture of what he wanted. He wanted that beachy, hippie kind of girl. And Pastor Cal said, if you would have came out like that, like, maybe he would have liked you more, but that's not who you are. And so they said that Mitch was attracted to what he had, his impression of Kristen in his mind, right? Of what he wanted the woman to be. And so, Kristen and Mitch are just, no. I think they could have, Mitch needs someone more like him. Like he said, he's more attracted to someone's lifestyle than looks. Although I think Mitch is attracted to looks. He just tries to act like he's not. I think everything Mitch goes against is things that he secretly wants in his life, is what I think. Anyway, they talked to Morgan, and they did talk to her about the whole, overreacting thing, and said, like, don't you think there was some part, you're really on Ben about what happened, but don't you think there's some part you could have took in it? And so, I think earlier in the segment, she was saying no, because when it was just the girls, that he kept doing the same thing over and over again and not admitting to it. And then Dr. Pepper really kind of laid into Morgan what she deserved. Dr. Cal didn't lay into her as much as I would have liked to, but Dr. Pepper saying, like, don't you think you overreacted to things, and could have handled it differently? She said, because I understand, like, you getting upset about the betrayal. However, we would have expected you to say, hey, like, I get that this is a unique experience and everyone can't handle it well, but come talk to me about it. Yeah, Morgan handled it very immaturely. She handled it very immaturely. Also, I don't think Ben is a strong enough personality for Morgan. In my opinion, that was a horrible pairing. Horrible pairing. Anyway, Pastor Cal said, he's happy for Morgan seeing the woman she's becoming. And she said she was in therapy working on herself. She's learning not to be so reactive, and she does wish she would have handled things differently. And she did say Ben is, a good, nice person. I know she said that in part 1. She might have said it again in part 2. And so she said, here we are now. Like, basically, she doesn't regret everything that happens, but I think she does learn that she needs to not be so reactive. Like, relax, Morgan. Also, girl, if you being shady about your nursing and your bachelor's and all, like, what you expect him to do? He don't know you from Adam. He just met you down at the altar at first sight. Like, you expect him to keep all your secrets, girl? Because that ain't it. Like, girl, have some common sense. First of all, I wouldn't even told him none of that. If I was her, I would not have told him none of that. Anyway, if you a nurse, you ain't got to tell them about one class you need to take because you didn't have the money, or you was missing 2 units. You need to do all that, because some people don't understand that stuff. So anyway, moving on from them. So then we bring out Alexis and Justin. Oh, if y'all gonna beat a dead horse on Married at First Sight, right? So the experts talk to Alexis and Justin, and Kevin is like, what is really going on here? What do y'all think is going on? And so Dr. Pepper said she thinks that Alexis needed more of an alpha male, and Justin really couldn't provide that. And so Also, Alexis did say, you know, every time Justin was crying, every time he shed a tear, it just made her more unattractive to him. She may not have said that in a moment, but at some point in the episode, she did say that. And I could totally see that. Totally see that. And so the experts, they were just really pushing for them to work it out. They were like, Pastor Kyle basically said, y'all just gave up. He was like, y'all was, you know, sat down at decision day. Y'all both said yes. And then literally, you know, 5 seconds later, you guys both called it quits. And Kevin asked, you know, them and said, you know, okay, if Alexis would have said, you know, yes, or she would have wanted to work it out, like Justin, why didn't you fight for it? And he's like, you know, he don't know. And so Pastor Cal did that. Pastor Cal and Pepper, Dr. Pepper, both said that with the whole dog situation and everything that happened, that Alexis, of course, she had lost trust in Justin, but Justin had also lost trust in her, especially after giving Maya away, right? And that just seemed to be like the straw that broke the camel's back. And Pastor Cal was kind of laying into Alexis to the point where she was like, "Oh, we was just friends 2 minutes ago." And so he was like, "Why weren't you, you know, you guys weren't trying to work out like Justin was really trying with you. You know, you kept doing this and that. Like, why weren't you trying to work it out?" And she was like, "Well, it was getting to be the point where we were becoming two different people and I was losing myself." And Pastor Cal was like, "You're going to, you know, you're going to change in a marriage." And she's like, "Oh, we were just fighting all the time." And he's like, "You're going to fight. You're going to be different in a marriage. You're going to, like, people get together. They think they're not going to fight. Like, come on." And so she was saying, like, Justin was asking her to change and not make jokes anymore. He's like, he literally told me not to make jokes anymore. And so Justin was saying, "No, I told you not to make jokes at, you know, my expense," because I guess Alexis was making jokes about him on camera and he didn't like that. And so he didn't want that anymore. I'm just like, both. Ugh. And she felt like she had to be like a mom to him and have all these motherly instincts. I could see that. It's just a horrible match. I don't understand why they were pressing the issue. And so Pastor Cal and Dr. Pepper were saying, you know, there's certain couples who are like, they're glad they didn't make it. We'll take the L on this one. But they're like, you guys are not the case. Like, we don't see why you don't, you know, you're not working out. And so Dr. Pepper, I think, eventually gave up and was like, you know what it is? They're both two very passionate people. And they both are vomiting all their emotions on each other. And with the lack of foundation, then it just doesn't work, which is very true. They're both passionate about what they're passionate and in their emotions in their own way. And they didn't already have a built up solid foundation to vomit on each other. You know how you have that good friend or that good family member, or maybe your spouse, or you feel so emotionally secure with them, you can emotionally vomit with them and feel safe and okay. They didn't have that because they didn't know each other long enough. Plus, Alexis, let's call it a thing. Alexis didn't respect that man. She did not respect that man at all. Point blank, period. She did not respect him. Okay? So that was another issue. And she never was going to respect him. And then he just kept doing things to make himself not respected. Granted, I could see how they felt like it could have worked because Dr. Pepper's thing is she thought that Justin would pull some of the emotions out of her and soften her up, but he was too soft to soften her up. He still needed more masculine dominance for her to feel safe enough to soften up with him, if that makes sense to y'all. So I think that's what the quality was missing. It's okay for him to be in touch with his emotions and cry sometime, right? Emotions make you cry sometime, but he was just a little too, it was just too many things, y'all. It was just too many things he did, especially when they were showing a little flashback episode. I was like, oh no. This is the whole way he carried himself for me. But I feel sorry for Justin. Like, Justin needs a lot of, he needs to sit on somebody's sofa and talk to them. He needs some, like, mentoring, some counseling for sure, as we all do. I'm not judging Justin. But he definitely needs, like, positive male role models. Like, he has his brother, but he needs something. I don't wonder what the issue with his dad was, the relationship. I'm really curious to know that, because there's something just a little off about Justin. I don't mean that in a mean way. I mean, in, like, there's, like, a piece that's missing there, and you can tell. But glad he got Maya back. for me, Alexis and Justin was a fail for the experts. It's not going to work. Kevin was still trying to push the issue also. He's like, why can't y'all make it work? Because this is not going to work, Kevin. It's just not going to work, okay? So anyway, I think everybody came back out at the end, and they were talking about Mitch and the shirt gate and how that whole thing went. Mitch felt like he was being set up. Mitch got really defensive in this moment too. He's like, I still stand by what I said because it just felt like I was being set up for somebody to do something to me. And so Stassi was like, well, what will we be setting up to do to you? And so Kristen was like, don't you have to change? Like, don't you expect to have to change to be in a marriage? And he was like, yeah. And she was like, see, that's what I'm saying. Like, these kind of conversations are the reasons why I said no on decision day, girl. You said no because he said no, but it's okay, Kristen. Get your confidence back, girl. We ain't judging. So anyway, Miguel said he felt like something was up too, but he wasn't like pressing the issue. Nate said he had no clue. Like, he was like, okay, my wife bought me this shirt. I'm gonna wear the shirt. He saw somebody else in the shirt. He thought it was cool, but he wasn't tripping on it. Kevin brought up a good point, saying, don't you think that's weird, ironic, Mitch, that you had a problem wearing a shirt that someone else bought for you, but then you wanted to tell Kristen how to dress and what to wear and how much makeup and all that. And so they were like, that's a point. And I'm like, that's a point, Kevin. Like, finally you hosting. And so Mitch was like, no, that's not the same because it's a different issue. Like, I don't necessarily agree it's the same. And so, they asked Lindy, what do you think? And Lindy was like, if it would have been me, she was like, I just would have went off on him. Like, it wouldn't have been a thing. Also, Lindy earlier was talking about the whole situation with her and Mitch Miguel, and how, after the retreat or whatever, she was feeling stressed out about Miguel, felt like he was controlling her and all that. And so Kevin did ask the ladies, did they feel like Lindy was in a bad situation or everything was okay? And they were like, no, they didn't feel Miguel was like that. And so Lindy did say she didn't do all that because Miguel never once made her feel unsafe or anything like that. And I remember everybody was going off on Miguel in the comments, and no, Miguel wasn't making Lindy unsafe or anything like that. Like, I could see how it was taken that way, but Lindy be overreacting, and Miguel doesn't know how to nip situations in the butt when they happen and express himself. So he kind of exploded on her during that retreat, and he just handled it really, really wrong and it felt like an overreaction, even though it was build up for him. It was an overreaction for everybody else. If he would not let things build up and just say what it is in the moment, then it wouldn't be such an explosion every time. And I could totally relate to that because I'm working on that too, and I'm getting better, but I'm still growing where I need to say something in the moment, but sometimes it takes me a minute to process things, right? But now I'm working on, okay, if it bothered me, I need to think it over and say something sooner rather than letting it pile it up or letting the person get away this time kind of thing, right? So anyway, back to towards the end, y'all. Sorry. I'm jumping around, of course. Like I said, all the couples were out talking about the whole Mitch thing, and so they got off of Mitch for a minute. Oh, and Morgan was like, it was just for fun, and Mitch was like, I get it. So you can tell Mitch was mad. They also had talked about Stassi watching the dog. Chris don't have no problem with that. They talked about how the whole Ben and Morgan thing, and how they're still good. They're not tripping on things. They talked about the whole Alexis and Justin, and how Justin had a problem with Alexis going out and all that, and Stassi said she don't be tripping on Nate going places. Miguel and Lindy, they don't trip on doing their own thing, but Miguel and Lindy have trust. Alexis and Justin don't. And so Kevin was asking, I think, Alexis and Justin about, I guess she's asking Alexis, was there anything else she needed to say to Justin or discuss with him or something? And so then she was like, well, how much time do you have? He's like, we got plenty of time. And she started going off saying, oh, you said y'all be wanting to go out every weekend, and that's not true. And she had talked about that earlier in the episode, how he didn't want her going out. Y'all remember that. And she would even invite him to go out, and he didn't. She would stay home and play video games with him, look up the cheat codes they built the fort. I don't understand these people. Maybe it's just me. Like, I like going out just as much as the next person. I was supposed to go out tonight, but I was just too tired, y'all. Okay? But I'll try again tomorrow. However, if my partner, my spouse, my boyfriend, my husband asks me to go out with him, I'm going to go. Like, I'm not about to sit at home. I'm going to get dressed and be on his arm. Like, I don't understand. It reminded me of Anaya on, was that her name? On Love is Blind season 2, and I'm not blaming her for the demise of their relationship by any means, but like, why she just didn't go out with him? I think she would go out with him sometimes and just come home before him, because he was just trying to be out all times of the night. Now, she was more of an introvert too, and maybe Justin's more of an introvert, and so maybe maybe it's just these people are just not comfortable going out. I don't know. But anyway, I will be out. They out, I'm out. Okay? Even if we ain't out together. You out? I'm not about to sit at home. Oh, I'm out too. No way. Ain't no way. But maybe that's the way I'm set up. I'm a little tit for tat petty. That's just me though. Anyway, I'm working on myself. God ain't through with me yet, y'all. Anyway, so Alexis started laying into Justin about everything she said about him, or everything he said about her, I'm sorry, and that wasn't true. And so then Nate started piping up saying, yeah, because you a liar. And so so then it was like, whoa, like, where did that come from? And so then Justin was like, man, be quiet. Yeah, he's like, yeah, because you be lying. I was like, dang, Nate just not going to let Justin live on this reunion. He not going to live. So then Justin continued to go on. Kevin was like, do you need, everything you want to just apologize to Alexis about? And he was like, yeah, I could see where I might have been wrong on this and that. And he was saying that, he thought Alexis was one way. And I guess he had been saying that she want to go out every night and she want to do this and that. And he didn't feel safe because he didn't know if he wanted her. So if she wanted him, so that's why he didn't want her going out every night, I guess. And so when when Alexis was saying all the stuff that he's, didn't do or said and all that. And so he was like, well, if that's the case, then you need to, Nate was like, if that's the case, that's totally different than what you was telling me. And so I guess Justin was crying to Nate about some Alexis' behavior. And so Nate was basically kind of calling him out on it in that moment. I'm assuming that's what happened. And so then Nate was like, yeah, you need to apologize to her. You need to definitely do that differently because that's not what you told me. So then Justin was like, I don't want to hear nothing you got to say because that's not mutually accepted to me. Like, basically he don't respect Nate's opinion, so he don't want to hear it. And so Nate and Justin get to fussing and arguing again. And then even Alexis and Stacy was like, can y'all please stop? And Justin was like, he's so childish. So I'm like, oh, Nate was keeping his foot on the deck. I was like, Nate was not letting him go. So then Kevin was like, everybody's looking like, what is happening here? So I feel like this issue between Nate and Justin runs deeper than we will ever know. Maybe we'll learn on that little after show special, but there's something running deep with them, okay? I think what I personally think it is, they're both the two black guys on the show, right? And they thought that they would bond with each other, but they don't really have nothing in common except for they're the two black guys on the show, right? And Nate is very, very different from Justin. Set up very, very different than Justin. And so Nate also is very different in his manhood than Justin. And Justin's type of manhood bothers Nate. Okay? And maybe there's some things in Nate that Justin wishes he had. I don't know, but yeah, I think they didn't connect the way that they wish they would have. When you think you're supposed to be friends with somebody and you don't connect with them and it don't work and you trying to figure out how to make it work. That's what I get from them. Anyway, Kevin said, let's live off on a positive note. What did they, get from the show? Everybody talking about they learned something. Ben said the mermaids was cooler and funner than he thought. They showed some never before, scenes and highlights of them having fun and all that good stuff. And that was pretty much it. Like I said, the reunion wasn't really giving much for part 2. I feel like we could make that one episode really, but for the reunion, but whatever. Anyway, y'all, Married at First Sight is a wrap. I'm still debating on if I will review the next season, because they 2-hour episodes is long, okay? But I got till January to make a decision, so y'all will find out in January once I figure it out, of course. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Drop your Christmas shopping ideas in the comments, and I will talk to y'all soon. Bye.